Today on Joe's Geek Show, we're going to be talking about Batman 89 issue number 1. What's going on, and welcome to Joe's Geek Show, the video series where we talk comics. And before we get started, if you're new and like to support the channel, you can do so by hitting that like button, clicking that subscribe button, and sharing. And with that, well, we are finally returning to the world of Batman 89, aka the Burtonverse, in this very first issue of 6. And this book is written by Hamm with art by Joe Quinones, colors by Leonardo Ito, and letters by Clayton Cowles. And this book starts with Harvey Dent out to dinner with his girlfriend Barbara Gordon when he proposes, asking her to make her decision based on a coin toss. But before she can answer, an explosion interrupts their dinner, catching Harvey's attention. Batman is also near and leaps into action to what appears to be the remnants of the Joker gang. He manages to foil their plans of stealing 2 trucks of money and escape as he's being shot at until the police show up and break up the gang. Meanwhile, Harvey and Barbara are walking outside when a clown steals Barbara's purse, in which Harvey gives chase, running into him and another clown. Harvey gains the upper hand, knocking one out before drawing a gun on the other. He decides whether to shoot him or not, based also on a coin toss, and when Barbara catches up to him, it seems he let them go. Bruce awakens the next morning to find Harvey is there, and they have a discussion with Harvey saying they need to take down Batman because he's causing just as much damage as the criminals he brings in, as well as Jim Gordon for aiding him. Bruce declines and says he can't go against Jim Gordon, with Harvey taking his leave and heading to a different part of Gotham, which is where he's from, and it's here we learn about his life and where he got his coin. Later, Harvey makes a press statement declaring war on Batman and asking for a vote of no confidence in Jim Gordon. Back at Wayne Manor, Alfred points out that the bat signal is active, but had a slash in it, and when he goes to check, finds Harvey, Bullock, and snipers awaiting him. Batman is informing Commissioner Gordon and has decided to break communication between them when Batman hears a robbery commencing. He follows the man to his house to see he only stole baby supplies and nothing else. It's then Batman gets attacked by a hooded figure and uses his grappling gun to land safely on the ground, only to now be in the line of fire of the National Guard. And I'll say, it was really fun returning to the world of Batman 89 via Hamm, one of the writers of the original Batman 1989 movie. And since this is set in the Burtonverse, there are a lot of fun little Easter eggs, particularly in the Halloween costume department, since this book does take place around Halloween. You had a girl in a Sally costume from The Nightmare Before Christmas, a woman in a Lydia costume from Beetlejuice, that lady with the big large head from Mars Attacks, and one of the skull biker dudes from Batman Returns, minus the bike. And there are other little things kind of thrown in through the book, like that giant penny that's usually depicted as being in the Batcave. Well, it's in Gotham City. Will he move the giant penny to his Batcave later? Probably not, though. It's most likely just there as a nod to it. But now let's move on to the story, since I did find it very interesting. Because here we have a story where it's mostly center focused on Harvey Dent, well, at least this particular issue is, and we get a lot more about him because he wasn't really in the Batman 1989 movie all that much, and he just wasn't in Batman Returns at all. So we got to learn more about him, where he comes from, his thought process, and overall just what makes the guy tick. For one, we have a very classic Harvey Dent trope where when he wants to make a decision, he flips a coin, but, you know, the trick is it's a 2-headed coin, so he always wins. And again, there's the scene where he goes back to his old neighborhood, which really is what ends up solidifying his position on wanting to take down Batman and get all the crime off the streets in the most lawful way possible. Because it's not just about following the law, it's also, for him, about being a good example to other kids from his neighborhood, trying to show them there are other ways to be successful other than going into sports. As far as the other characterizations go, I think they're all pretty good. Batman is Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, and Alfred is Alfred. But what I found extremely interesting about this book is the more I read it, the more I thought about it, and read it again, I really started to see the similarities between this and Batman Forever. I mean, I'm sure there was an article out there somewhere saying that, yes, this is what the third Batman movie was actually supposed to be. Albeit in alternate sequences, but it's all there. I mean, we had Batman breaking up a robbery, the helicopter explosion. We have Harvey Dent, who I'm guessing by the third issue will become Two-Face. We've got Robin. Well, he at least will become Robin. So all we'd really need is the Riddler and Chase Meridian to complete the whole set. Oh yeah, and it's set around Halloween, and Batman Forever was also set around Halloween. And hey, we've also got Barbara Gordon here, all grown up and dating Harvey, which, you know, kind of weird. I mean, I'm just used to a younger portrayal of Barbara Gordon. But considering how old Commissioner Gordon was in the first 4 movies, I mean, Pat Hingle in 1989 was already in his mid-60s, and older Barbara Gordon makes sense. Even though in this book it really looks like Gordon in context got younger, but more on that later. But overall, I like the setup. When it comes to the art, I think it's pretty well done. Joe Quinones does his best to make Gotham look as Gotham-y as possible. Though I think Tim Burton's Gotham is still slightly more exaggerated with taller buildings and more Gothic architecture. I mean, there was a building with a face in it, or like a scene. And you can't tell me if Tim Burton was not directing a live-action version of this, setting it around Halloween, that he would not go more nuts. I mean, we already saw what the man did with Christmas. But still, you know, for all intents and purposes, it's functional to the story. As far as other designs and characters go, Batman looks great. It's the 1989 Batman suit. The Batmobile looks amazing, and it's my favorite Batmobile. Harvey Dent is easily the closest looking to his actor counterpart, Billy D. Williams, while everyone else, most likely for legal reasons, it's kind of hit and miss. Bruce, as an example, looks like they're trying to make him look like Michael Keaton without making him look like Michael Keaton. Except when he's Batman, that's a Keaton chin. And damn, did they give dude a large forehead. In all honesty, with like the longer head and the like white sideburns thing going on, it actually kind of looks like Reed Richards. Oh, and what is with the white sides? What year is it? I sure as heck don't know, because the book doesn't really tell us. I mean, if this is supposed to be the third Tim Burton Batman movie, aka what was supposed to be his Batman Forever, I mean, I would guess 1995? I mean, if you know, go ahead and throw it out there. I actually Googled it. I couldn't find anything. Alfred is another interesting design because it actually looks like they took the Tim Burton version of Alfred, played by Michael Gough, and like fused him to the 66 Adam West version of the character played by Alan Napier. Because in no version of Burton or Schumacher's Alfred did he ever have a mustache. I mean, it's really quite fascinating because while I can see one, I can also see the other. And Commissioner Gordon is probably the furthest away from the Pat Hingle design of the character. He not only looks a bit younger, but also just slightly slimmer. He now has reddish brown hair and looks the most comic booky among all of the characters, which ends up looking weird in the long run because when you mesh all of these different designs together that really do look like each one is trying to go for something a little bit different, which makes my brain work in weird ways because on one hand, I'm trying to read this as if it were a live action movie, but on the other hand, it's still saying, hey, I'm a comic book. Don't, go too crazy into the realism. I think I just broke my brain. Okay, characters aside, the panel layouts and overall flow of the book is still pretty on point though. I never got lost reading this book. I was able to easily go from one panel to the next. Outside of some character looks occasionally taking me out of the book, for the most part, I was pretty into it. It's a book that definitely banks on the nostalgia and really strives to try and be that next chapter in the Burtonverse Batman. And while I wouldn't call it a knockout smash hit or anything, I still had fun with it. And I think those that really want that nostalgia trip are gonna dig this book. And with that, I'm going to score Batman 89 issue number 1 a 7.5 out of 10. So Batman 89 issue number 1. What did you think about this book if you've read it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you liked this video, I'd love it if you smash that like button, share it with some friends, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and ring that notification bell for more comic book content. And if you're wondering what to watch next, consider one of these 2 videos. Alright, take care, have a great day, and as always, stay geeky.